Rachel Jordan, and welcome to the Chris Massey Show here on American Hearts Radio Network. We're coming to you live from our studio right here in downtown Atlanta. Now you're probably asking yourself, where is Chris Massey? Well, if you happen to know, would you please call the studio? I'd like to say I'm surprised, but this is just typical. It's the most important show of the whole year, and he's nowhere to be found. You think it's all fun and games working with Chris Massey? Is it any fun, Al?
No.
He's the most self-centered, self-absorbed ass I've ever met in my whole life. Listen to what he told me one time, and I quote, "I may not be much, but I'm all I think about." Oh, well, look who's here. Where the hell have you been?
It's a long story. Look, I'm sorry I'm late.
You hear that, everyone? He's sorry. I certainly feel better. Do you feel any better, Al?
No.
Look, just I got to get my act together here. Just finish the monologue, all right?
Unbelievable.
Go ahead.
Tonight we are taking a look back at the legendary Atlanta Music Club, the 688. Our guest tonight will be Steve May. So grab a beer and relax. It'll be a good one tonight. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a great night out? Are you in the Atlanta, Georgia area? Are you looking to check out some live, awesome music during the week? They have keynote, poker tournaments, horseshoes, and special events. It's all at the Moon Shadow Tavern. That's at 3976 Lawrenceville Highway in Tucker, Georgia. That's the Moon Shadow Tavern. Give them a call, 770-674-2133. Check out their selection of great food, friendly service. Visit their website at msttucker.com. That's www.msttucker.com. Moon Shadow Tavern is a proud sponsor of the Chris Massey Web TV Music Show on www.americanheartsradio.com. Make sure you told them that American Hearts Radio sent you. Visit their website, check out their great selection of food, appetizers, wings, burgers, sandwiches and wraps, steaks and chicken, salads and sides. Also their drink specials. Live music during the week. Check them out. Give them a call, 770-674-2133.
Now I wanna be a dog. Now
night I met a fella named Otis. Good old friend of Charlie Yardbird Parker. And he said, Jimmy,
all right, we're back. The clip you just saw was Iggy Pop, the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, performing I Want to Be Your Dog at the 688 Club in September of 1980. Iggy came to town that week, played the club a whole week, and it was during this week of shows that he famously wrote his set list on the stage wall, which was one of the many trademarks of the 688 Club. Now, in the summer of 1980, I was 18 years old, and my career as a nightclub performer was just getting started. There was a brand new club at 688 Spring Street called the 688 Club. Now, from the time the club opened in 1980 to its closing in 1986, I was a frequent patron of the club. I also performed there several times. But the 688 Club just wasn't a music club. It was a happening, a place to be seen, and a place to hear some great live music. Looking back on that era of my life now, I can tell you that the 688 played a big role in not only my life, but my friends' lives and a lot of other people in Atlanta. And tonight, I can honestly tell you, if there wouldn't have been a 688 Club, my life would have probably been a little bit different. Now, it took more than one person to get the 688 Club off the ground, but no one played a bigger role than my guest tonight. Would you please welcome to the Chris Massey Show, Mr. Steve May. Good to see you. Come on in, buddy. Yes, sir.
How are you doing?
Good. Now, Steve, I got to tell you, when American Hearts Radio first called me about doing this show, the first thing that popped into my head was, I've got to get Steve May on the show and do a 688 show. That's what I was hoping to do, and I've really enjoyed getting to spend time with you this past week, getting everything ready for the show, and I appreciate you coming on. I really do, and I know a lot of people out there tonight are really looking forward to seeing some of these video clips and what you got to say.
Well, thank you, Chris. It's my pleasure. So.
Now, 1972, you get out of high school. You've got aspirations to be a lawyer. And there's 8 years from the time you get out of high school till the club opens. So I'm just going to let you take it and tell us how you went from wanting to be a lawyer to opening the 688 Club.
Okay, well, you know, I went to I grew up in Atlanta. Atlanta's my home, and I grew up in Ansley Park. And I would have gone to Grady High School, but I ended up going to a military boarding school. It was Dad's idea. I thought education was sort of bad in public schools. So ended up going there, and after the first year, I met a friend, one of my close friends, Ray Bone, and we became roommates. And we were sort of like the Trapper Hawkeye from the MASH movie. And so we had the campus, even though it was sort of a strict school, we learned all the angles and all the ins and outs. So where all the other guys were going through the routine that they would have to do, we became to where we did what we wanted to do. And we were definitely like Trapper and Hawkeye. But anyway, I did that. I graduated from there, and I went to Ranger School at Fort Benning and humped the Ranger course there and blew out my knee. And so my military career was over, and I became 4F, and company commander saw me in the hospital after I blew out my ACL and MDL. Said, "We won't see you, Mr. May, till World War III." So all that thing was gone, and I decided to go to Oglethorpe University. I went there, studied political science, and then my family was very into, they were more of a liberal kind of family, and Dad was into a lot of civil rights. And so I had studied constitutional law at George Washington. And then I got offered $1,000 a week from a small little company here in Atlanta called Main Street Management. And that was to work with a band called Brick, who had a real famous song called Daz Daz Disco Jazz. And so anyway, after we got through that, and I worked with Brick for a while, I also ended up working for Cavallo Ruffalo Management Company in California.
Okay.
And then I worked with Prince, Ray Parker Jr., also did Billy Cobham, George Duke, Stanley Clark, Lenny White,
wow.
Weather Report. So a lot of different bands that I worked with. So I had that connection. While touring with Prince, we were in England, and we had a couple of shows in London, and I went to the Hammersmith Odeon and saw Madness and Squeeze. And so after corporate rock sort of took over rock and roll in the 70s, and I was getting sort of tired of the disco. Never was really into the disco thing per se. It was more of the funk rock kind of stuff. But anyway, it seemed like the bands that were coming up had more of a message to say, and they were, more into my liking again. So I thought it was a very good idea to have a music venue that would play these bands that I was watching all around the world on my travels. So I went to New York. Prince played the Bottom Line for 5 nights, and on one particular night I went up to the Mud Club and the CBGB's, and I saw those clubs and I said, wow, I can do this in Atlanta. So one of my best friends was Tony Evans, and he was a hairdresser. He worked at Blood, Sweat, and Tears, which was one of the first hairdressing places in Buckhead, where all the women from Dunwoody came and had their hair done. And so Tony cut my hair in '71 when he first moved here from London. Tony studied under Vidal Sassoon in London, and then he was on the road with the Rolling Stones as their makeup artist and hairstylist.
I heard you told me he was quite the ladies' man too. Is that right?
Tony was. He was a little short English guy. I think we got a couple of pictures that we're going to show of him. Just magnetic personality. So basically, Tony became head of the publicity for 688. And I was doing production and the management part as far as booking the acts. And Sheila, my girlfriend, was a bar manager at the Rusty Nail on Beaufort Highway. And she was the bar manager because we didn't know anything about running a bar, buying liquor and all that kind of stuff, and the taxes you have to do. So I had 45%, and let me go back. The corporation that owned 688 and all those little subsidiaries that we did was called Cheap Thrills, Inc. And I had 45% of Cheap Thrills, Inc. Tony had 45, and Sheila had 10. And that was because Sheila was very level-headed, extremely good with money, which Tony and I were not. And she could sort of be the mediator between the two bumping heads, if we ever did. So that's how 688 was formed.
Now let me ask you now, because I know people will find this interesting. This management company you were working with actually sent you and another guy to Minneapolis to see Prince, and then they sent you back there with a check to buy him out of his management contract. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, what had happened was, not with us, they didn't actually give us a check, but we went up there, I went there with Steve Farnoli, and we went to Minneapolis to go and check out a little guy playing at First Avenue in St. Paul, Minneapolis. And we saw Prince for the first time, and I think he was just starting to come out with his first album. And he had a management company that was based locally in Minneapolis. And we went and saw him, and we came back and told Bob and Joe, yeah, this is the guy you ought to sign. And so they bought out his contract from the manager in Minneapolis. And that became, and then Prince, and then they signed Prince. And of course, Closer to You came out real quick. I was on the road with Ray Parker, and so I missed the first tour with Prince open for the Rolling Stones. And but I picked it up about 3 months later, and then I stayed with Prince all the way through Dirty Mind.
Okay. Now, the club opens in May of 1980.
That's correct.
That's correct. And I think
May the 26th.
And I think you told me the first band to take the stage at the 688 was the Rabbits.
The Rabbits.
Is that correct? Which featured Dan Baird from the Georgia Satellites and Chaz Westbrook, one of the best frontmen at that time.
And Bruce Smith. I think Bruce Smith was in the band as well.
There you go. Okay. Now we've got some pictures here that we're going to go to from the 688.
Right.
And Steve, I'm just going to kind of let you narrate these as we go along. If you know who these people are, just jump on in.
Okay. I'm sorry. Keep going for a minute. I got to make an adjustment right
now. Okay. We're going to have a little technical thing here going on, but we'll have it up here for you.
Okay, well, we can talk about some other stuff, too, if you want.
Oh, absolutely. Now, now when the club opened, let me ask you, and I asked you this the other day, what were your expectations? I mean, there were a few bands in Atlanta, a handful of original bands, and some very good ones, which was good for you.
Very, very good.
The Restraints, the Basics, the Brains, the Heathen Girls, the Swimming Pool Cues. And I think you told me that first summer, these bands really kept the club going.
Yeah, you just took the words right out of my mouth. But when we first opened in 1980, we had the Rabbits did the press party on Thursday. Friday and Saturday, I had originally booked the Dead Boys to play 6 at 8 that Friday and Saturday to open it up. And Joe Seaton and Rich Floyd and sort of strong-armed
from the Agora,
strong-armed me and said the Dead Boys should play the Agora because they played there before. And will you take the Cretones, which was more of a pop kind of band. So basically, it started a little club war from the Agora and 6 at 8. I don't really want to say it was a club war, but it did a club war, which was sort of in a way, we ended up, after the Agora closed, we ended up taking over the Agora and doing all the shows, booking most of the shows at the Agora in the years afterwards. But anyway, the Dead Boys played at the Agora and the Cretones played at 6 at 8. And 6 at 8 at that time was no tables or chairs. It was bleachers on... Bleachers.
That's how it was the first time I played there.
On each wall, left side and right side. So all these people are coming in and going, what? They're just looking down the club and they're seeing nothing but bleachers over here. And so I'm sitting in my office and it's going to be about 15 minutes before the Cretones were supposed to come on. I walk out into the club and I see all these people sitting, on these bleachers just looking over the dance floor, and I go, man, somebody should throw a basketball or something. We ought to have a basketball game. Because it looked like everybody was waiting to watch a basketball game. But anyway, so that's how the club opened up. But the Cretones did a great job. We sold out both nights, made more money than we ever thought. I didn't know about money etiquette there, about like stacking all your bills right and wrapping all your bills. So when I went to the bank, next on the Monday, I just had all this money stuffed in bags. I just dumped it on the counter. There's nothing wrapped or anything. They go, listen, you've got to wrap those in 50 straps. But anyway, that was sort of how it started out.
Okay, I think we got the clip here of some pictures here from the 688, and let's see what we got here.
You want me to talk over some of this?
Yes, please.
Great.
Jump right on in and see what we got.
Well, that was the parcel of the front sign. A lot of stuff, you've got it on a randomizer. So, okay, well, there's the back wall. And, of course, all the graffiti. We didn't hand out magic markers that some people thought we did for people to write on the walls, but... That's
Bruce Smith, I believe, and Victor from the Swingin' Richards in that picture there.
Yeah, some of the guys were there. I don't know. Yeah, Bruce was there as well, yeah. And this is just shows the fans who were there. There's Bernadette and... Peter V. and Steve Hurlbut and a bunch of the guys.
There you are, on stage.
On stage, the one and only.
Yep, the king on his throne right there, folks.
Announcing the band. Those are some
Look at those haircuts, man, and these outfits. This is great.
And there's Lisa Roach and Kathy Hendricks. The girl on the right was my right arm at 6 at 8 for many years. And there's me and Paul Cornwell.
Who opened the Metroplex.
Yeah, we're looking off. We're not looking at each other. We're looking off on each other. That's sort of weird. Some more patrons.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say names. I don't want to embarrass them at this age in their lives from the kid. Randy Blazak, Professor Randy Blazak. He's, one of my dearest friends. Another one of the 6'8" DJs, and I am so sorry. Someone's got to call in and tell me her name. I forgot her name. But anyway, she was one of our DJs. And there's go back to this was a little patron party we had where we opened the bar and had some people in. I don't know that picture. Yeah. And that's Tony Evans and Alan Venice from the Roys.
Yeah. That's in your office, correct?
That's in the office, yeah. And that's Tony with his fedora. Wow. This is a Jonathan Richmond concert, and Jonathan made us turn on the lights.
We never figured out who this is, did we?
Yeah, somebody's got to tell us who that is. See, we're getting older now. We start losing our memories when the first things that goes. So.
Yeah. Now, talking about some of those great bands, those great local bands that, could I tell you, there were a lot of big nights there. The Red Hot Chili Peppers, I remember that was just a fantastic show there at the 688. I was there the night that the Vapors with the big hit Turning Japanese played, and there was a bomb threat at the club, and everybody had to go into the parking lot across the street. Now, I got to tell you, Steve, today, if I'm at a club and there's a bomb threat, I'm not hanging around in the parking lot for an hour and a half and then going back inside. But everybody did. Yeah, everybody went back in.
And it was amazing. I was like, when I asked the fire marshal, I said, do we really have to evacuate everybody? Do we really need to go through this? I knew that it was one of our competitors just mad because we got the vapors and they didn't.
Oh, that's back to that club war you were talking about.
But we didn't want to throw caution to the wind, so we just went ahead and evacuated the place. But it was on a cold night. It was in January. It was on a cold night. So, and the vapors were just getting ready to start when the bomb threat was called in. So everybody went out in the parking lot, sobered up, came back in, started drinking like fishes, so we actually doubled our bar. So it actually came out to benefit us as to hurt us.
And the band was in the parking lot.
Yeah, everybody.
I was over there. I got an autograph from the guy. I can't remember, his name escapes me, that sang for the...
everybody.
He was only about 5 foot tall. That's all I remember about the guy. But
the Vapors, if anybody doesn't remember who the Vapors were, they did the song Turning Japanese.
Which was a big hit.
And only one hit. They were one-hit wonders.
But it was
a good band.
Yeah, yes, it was. Now, we've got some clips here, some of those great local bands that played there, and I think we've got a couple of them here we're going to take a look at. First, we're going to take a look at a segment from the Basics, which was one of the best bands in that day. Right. And then we're going to follow it up with a little video of the Restraints.
Okay.
So let's take a look at what we got here.
without the support of our local bands, and I'm going to name them right now, and that's the Heathen Girls, the Restraints, the Brains, the Swimming Pool Cues. Without their support at the club and playing as many times as I would say, look, I really need some money, guys. And they would just come right on and help. And without their support, especially that first summer, 6 and 8 would have never stayed open.
You were telling me, too, that the biggest money makers for you at the club were the Brains.
Yes.
And the Heathen Girls.
Yes. Locally, Brains, Heathen Girls, Swimming Pool Cues. I would say of all the Brains had the hardest drinking crowd, and that would drink a lot. And I remember the guys who would do our cleanup would come in on a Sunday morning and literally 6 inches deep of plastic cups, just from wall to wall. I mean, just unbelievable. We would always order about 12 kegs when the Brains would play, and we'd go through all of them.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Now, another big part of the music scene was Danny Beard formed DB Records.
That's correct.
And he had some great bands on his label that all showcased at the 688.
That's correct.
The Swimming Pool Cues, Guadalcanal Diary, Pylon from Athens. And speaking of the Athens bands, one band that really got their feet wet at your club was REM.
Yeah, REM played in February of 81. And Michael Stipe was still so shy. And it was on a Tuesday night. I think we had 18 people there, 21 people. Mm-hmm. And Michael was still very shy, and he actually sang with his back to the audience the whole night.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I think it was a couple of times, and then finally he started singing out front. But at the beginning, I didn't really get REM. I'm just trying to tell you, maybe I'm a little slow at that point. But right then, I didn't really get it. But when they opened up for 999 and the Athens crowd followed, and that show that they did of that, it was just a turning point for that band. And I said, wow, these guys are great. And, of course, they signed a few months later with IRS. Mm-hmm. But that 999 show, when they came and opened up for 999, and even the band from England, nobody knows what 999 was. They were a pub band from England, and sort of got stuck in that kind of punk pub band. And although they were just straight ahead rock and roll. But they loved REM. And they even said, man, this is one of the best bands we've seen in the States. But they had their breakout show, I think, when they opened up for 999.
Now, of course, they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I looked it up today. REM has sold 65 million records worldwide.
Unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. I mean, that is a lot of records.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you the story about their drummer?
Bill Berry.
Bill Berry.
No. Please do.
Well, I was working at Paragon with Rogers Redding, and I used to call it, we used to do the chicken tour. You know what the chicken tour was. And and Rogers had these clients that he had of some of these places I don't think anybody would go to, especially a young-bred white boy like me would go. And we played all these places. Well, Bill Berry was one of the gophers at Paragon Agency.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so I knew Bill from there. And but anyway, that was a great time. I just had to tell that Bill Berry story. That's the first time I met Bill, when I was working at Paragon with Rogers Redding.
Now we're going to look
great Rogers Redding.
We're going to look at some other clips that we've got
Brother
here.
of Otis, if anybody's
we've got here a clip of the Go-Go's, who played at the 688 in 1981, and this was the first show the Roys did. I believe they opened the show that night for them. And we've also got some footage of the great Henry Rollins from Black Flag. So let's take a look at what we got.
Doesn't matter what
right, we're back.
We're back.
Now, I have to tell you, Steve,
Yes.
when I first played the club in 80 and 81, you didn't have any pads on the poles because you didn't need any.
No.
But later on, it was pretty important to have those pads on those poles when the slam dancing kind of came into it.
That's true, yeah. And I think Black Flag brought that out in people. Henry and the band. Black Flag played the club probably a dozen times. I know Henry very well. He's a very great guy. Everybody, knows he works out constantly. He always has something that he's working out with. And that was a great show. I thought we had the interview. We did an interview after the show, just talking about slam dancing and violence and hardcore music. And I think that we had an interviewer. The interviewer for that show, it was Henry really took her to town, and I thought we had a clip of that, but we don't have that.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, but yeah, they were great. I loved Black Flag.
Let's go to some more pictures, Al, and then also we've got a clip. Before we get to that, I just want to say, now we're going to show a clip of a band after these pictures, and other than REM, this band made it bigger than any band that came out of Atlanta in that era. They've sold 35 million records. Their first record went top 10. Their second record went number 1. It launched the career of one Brendan O'Brien, who worked on the first 2 records and has gone on to do work with Bruce Springsteen and Red Hot Chili Peppers and everything. And of course, I'm talking about the Black Crowes, who then were called Mr. Crow's Garden. So we've also got a clip of them after these pictures.
Okay, great. Yeah, there's Sheila and Jerry. Sheila was my girlfriend. She's on the left. Jerry's on the right. Give me the other.
They were always so nice.
Yeah, great. Intern, hello. Kathy, and there's Kathy and Lisa, my 2 favorite people. Like I said, Kathy's on the left, Lisa. And you know who that was. Everybody knows who this was in this video. Who did we forget? I can't remember. That's just some people I don't know. There's Robert McTighe is there. That's a band set up on stage. No, can't remember that. There's J.E. Garnett, Philip. And I don't know who's been over there. I think it might be Randy. I'm not sure. And that shows the back wall. We had a real famous artist, local artist, do that on the back. It was great. There's a little bit of slam dancing there at 6 at 8. That's Tom. He's the guy who edited this video. We knew we had to get him in there. And there's a little more scene of the bar area and people lounging around. You can sort of get the layout of the club. There's Tom again. Why did we get so much of Tom on this one?
I think because he put it together.
Oh, that's right. Well, he'll be famous now. We did have pinball machines. There was a girl who used...
Yes, I remember those.
And there's Sheila again using that.
Look at there. Heineken is only 25 cents more than a Rolling Rock. And Stroh's beer, what the hell is that? They don't even make it anymore, do they?
Yeah, I think they still make Stroh's. I think, yeah. But Rolling Rock was my favorite domestic, and Heineken was my favorite import at that time. Memphis and Cowgirl. Wow. That's sort of a cool picture of the stiletto in the styrofoam ball. There's some more patrons. By the way, did I tell you about the 688 book?
Yes, we're going to get to that here toward the end of the show. I've got that marked in big bold letters to talk about that with you, Steve.
Okay.
Okay, and then the clip.
Guess that's true. My mistake was to get involved with you. Now cross that finish line twice again, what do you think? You know it was a my mistake, it was.
Now we're back. Okay, now we're gonna talk about a few other things here, Steve. One thing that needs to be mentioned is, you know, a lot of people that identify with that era in Atlanta music, a lot of people, you know, Chris Wood pops up in the conversation pretty quick. He was I heard someone tell me that Chris Wood and David Barge were at the Sex Pistols show at the Great Southeast Music Hall, and they were the only punk rockers in the whole crowd. You know, that's what I've been told. Yeah. But the story did not end good. Of course, many people know the story of, and you know, I was not there that night, and I don't think anybody really knows what happened unless you were there, other than the fact that a young lady was shot, and Chris went to trial and was convicted and spent his last days in jail before he died. You were actually interviewed by the prosecution and the defense in this case, were you not?
Yeah, I was interviewed first by the newspaper, and I think once the article came out in the Atlanta Journal, you know, I tried to tell them, you know, Chris was the last guy that I would know would be involved in any sort of shooting. Although he did carry a gun, he carried a Charters Arm 38. He would. Every time he came into the club, he would check the club. He would check his gun at the door, but he was not a violent person. I mean, even through his music and his persona that he might have given off, he was not that kind of person at all. I mean, the guy had diabetes, you know, since birth or since early childhood, and he wore glasses that were, you know, everybody knows.
Bottom of Coke bottles, yeah.
I mean, really Coke bottle glasses, and I just don't. I think it was an unfortunate situation, but I totally thought it was an accident. I explained to the prosecutor. The prosecutor brought all these videos and all this stuff about him, and I said, well, you know, it's only an act. I mean, you know, this is entertainment. You know, you got to think I would look at past there. And he goes, well, we're not going to bring you up. And then the defense, you know, interviewed me, and I thought the defense was, because I thought I was pretty convincing about Chris's attitude. And I thought they would put me on the stand, but they didn't. But the article that came out in the Atlanta Journal was very, very good. And at this time, I really want to mention that another one of the things is 6 at 8, when it first started, became sort of the media darlings. And there were a few writers that I just would like to thank.
Sure.
Steve Daugherty, I think, was the first one that wrote a big article. You know, it was a club without pins and needles, you know, talking about 6 at 8, which is a great article by Steve Daugherty, who now works for the LA Times. And then Bo Emerson, who's still working with the Journal, Steve Hurlbut, Tony Paris, Creative Loafing. Without Tony, a lot of stuff couldn't have been done or said about us. Tony was a regular and just a great friend. And Doug DeLoach and David Lindsay. So those were writers that I think had a very impact of keeping 6 at 8 going and putting us out in the public.
Okay. We got another little quick clip of the restraints that we're going to show. This was a video that they made called I Can't Be a Nun. It was made right here in Atlanta, and it was very popular. We're going to take a quick peek at that. We're back.
We're back.
Okay, so club's rolling along. 84, 1985, and November of 1986, the club closes. There were some things that happened that I don't know if you want to get into about why the club closed. But during this time, you formed 688 Records.
That's correct.
688 Records, and you guys had a good thing going, and one of the bands that you had on there was Kevin Kinney and Driving and Crying.
Driving and Crying.
And you told me that when Kevin Kinney moved down here that he didn't have a place to stay, and you let him sleep at the club lots of times. Is that correct?
Yeah, he slept on the floor at 688. But Kevin was a great musician, an incredible songwriter. I once, he had, you know those books that you used to write in high school, the little black and white books? Mm-hmm. You know, he had one of those books, and he had written in just perfect calligraphy all of his songs, and it just was absolutely incredible. And the songbook was full. I mean, we're talking about 75, 80 songs. And just reading through it, he was such a poet, such a great songwriter. And he had that voice. But when we were doing Scarlett Smarter, George Pappas engineered and produced Scarlett Smarter, the late George Pappas, great guy. I always felt that they should have more of a new Americana edge. You know, when they came out, I wanted to do a sort of a power pop trio like they did. I always wanted to go with, you know, a lot of different pieces. You know, Kevin's brother was a great a musician, and I really thought that, you know, we would have a really big band, like, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 pieces, and would do more of a new Americana sound. Right. And I think they would have. I think the longevity and I think the band would have been a lot better. I think we could have made a lot better. And Chris and Kevin knows this. I've talked to him about it. But anyway, they were very successful. Scarlett Smarter was a great record, and we enjoyed working with them on that.
But you think if they went in the direction that they were going in, they would have been bigger than REM?
I believe that, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I really do.
Well, and they did
pretty good anyway. And his voice, I never thought that Kevin's voice was sort of that rock voice. You know, I thought it was more of a...
Well, and one of my favorite songs they do is that country tune they did, "I'm Going Straight to Hell," which is more in that kind of mode that you're talking about there.
And his, the new Americana, and his genre is that genre and his voice fit. I mean, and I just, sorry, but that's just the way I felt about it. Now,
Elektra Records is interested in bringing on 688 Records, has a subsidiary of Elektra, and and you were out in California, and you had already been...
no, actually, it was Nashville.
Nashville, okay. But you had already been to Seattle, looking at some of these bands up there that you were planning on signing on 688, which were some of the bands you knew about up there. Were who?
Well, we knew all about the Nirvana and other bands that were playing up there. But the main thing was that we had formed a relationship, or I had formed a relationship with Jim Zumwalt. Kathy has a nice saying about, are you chummy with Zummy? Or I think it's something like that. But anyway, Jim and I were good friends. Jim is a mover and shaker in Nashville with record labels. He signed a lot of bands. He signed the Georgia Satellites. But he wanted to do a logo deal with the 688 Records on Elektra Asylum. And we had just come out with Scarlett Smarter. We'd also done Arms Akimbo and other records in a 688 compilation with the Flesh Tones on it as well. And I thought it was going to go very well. We had the big 688 anniversary, Driving and Crying played. Jim came down from Nashville, and we had a talk in the office with some new partners that after Tony Evans had left, and I sold most of my shares of 688, we had some new partners, and one of the partners mentioned something that got Jim Zumwalt very mad, and he told us that he could not work with 688 Records if that guy had to be involved.
And what a big deal this would have been for Atlanta.
Yeah, it was
have
huge.
688 Records here with affiliated with Elektra Records in California. I mean, that would have just been, that would have opened the door for a lot of bands that probably didn't get the door open for them.
Yeah, and I think that, along with not quite having the right partnership for myself at the time, I'm not taking anything away from these other guys. You know,
right.
I think they were just great. They're great individuals, but just wasn't a right fit. And I think that if that was one of the reasons one reason I sold most of my shares. Another reason I was staying on and enjoying the record label, but then when that happened, that pretty much soured me on that. Mm-hmm. And then my longtime, girlfriend, live-in partner, Sheila, died in a tragic accident in L.A.
Right. Mm-hmm.
She had moved out to L.A., and I was going to move with her, go out to L.A., and she was looking at some houses. And
you had a job lined up with Geffen Records, didn't you?
I was going to work with Geffen Records, and she was killed in an accident. There was some people there involved that are, a couple of them are famous, and I really don't want to name.
Sure,
but one of them I actually had arrested for wrongful death.
Oh,
And,
okay. All
because she fell, and it was an accident. She hit her head, but she only fell about 14 feet, but she hit her head just like it was.
right spot.
It was
Or
bad.
wrong spot, excuse me. Yeah.
So it was really bad, and that, of course, soured me on Los Angeles and soured me to a lot of, even some of my friends out there who thought that I was being wrong about stuff. But
Now, there's a couple of little trivia things that people would like to know. The name that you guys had picked for the 688 Club before the 6088 was?
Sweeney Todd's.
Sweeney Todd's. But you guys couldn't come up with a logo for it, right?
Okay, well, everybody knows Tony Evans, the head partner with me in 688. He was from England. He's a little Brit, and he said we have to call it Sweeney Todd's. And I was saying, okay, that sounds good. But, we could do that. And then we were up with the graphic artist, and his name was David Jenkins, a super intellect person, great. I think he works for BBDO now in New York. But David was one of the best graphic artists at the time. And we were putting together something to do merchandise. Because, people got to realize this. When we opened up 688, it wasn't a couple of guys throwing a kegger. We actually had a very sound business plan. We had networked, and we had made a lot of connections all over the United States to bring bands in. And so we were sitting up in David's loft to try to look for a logo that we could use on merchandise. And we tried Sweeney Todd's, and we could just not. That just didn't look good. And so I saw the album PIL in the corner, which has the two bars in the circle with PIL.
Mm-hmm.
And then David came up with 688 Spring Street, 688, and then we put that, just sort of reversed the PIL logo, and well, there it is. Everybody
there it
can
is,
see.
right there.
And there it
is.
And that's how 688 became.
Now, another location that, and this I've got to tell you, this is really kind of funny. Another location you guys were looking to open the club, and you said you almost signed a lease there.
Real
was where the Third Rock, the third
$3 cafe.
$3 cafe, $3 cafe, right in the middle of Buckhead.
Right in the middle of Buckhead.
Now I can just picture, Steve, all of these punks coming down to see these shows, and Buckhead was full of yuppies then. I mean, the only place they weren't was at Hedgens down there where the satellites were playing, and they would have been coming into the show and to check it out. I think you would have had the cops there an awful lot if the club would have been there.
I'm going to tell you, 680 on the weekends, especially from 83 on, became like a yuppie hangout on weekends.
Right.
So I'm not taking that away from anything, and there was some people that I liked that were yuppies. I mean, I grew up in that sort of lifestyle. But anyway, $3 Cafe was a place that we looked at the beginning because it was vacant and it was for rent. But the cost to renovate that place and bring in bar equipment was so expensive. Like, a lot of people don't realize, but I had saved up, and I had about $10,000 saved up, and Tony had borrowed $10,000 from his parents. So our nest egg to open up 688 was $20,000. I mean, today that's unheard of to open up any club or anything.
Oh, yeah.
But we got it up and going, and we kept it going for almost 7 years.
That's right.
So.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, where you had the place, I mean, that was fate. The fact that it was as small as it was big and it was small all at kind of the same time, really made it a great place.
Yeah, Rose had just Rose had just let her lease go.
At Rose's Cantina.
Rose's Cantina, that's what 688 was before. And so it became vacant, and I just said, Tony, look, we don't even have to do much,
That's right.
So let's just take it over, and that's how 688 began.
Now, you've been working on a book?
Yes, I'm working on a book.
And tell us a little bit about what that and what's going on with that, and when do you think we'll be able to see it?
Well, I have been doing this book since 1994, but we had a in-house photographer. Ken was our in-house photographer, and then we also had Spencer Thornton and Jay Brown did video for the club. So we had a pretty good representation on our timeline, and I thought I would do a coffee table photography book.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so I had finished that and was ready to go to print. And then everybody kept on saying, we really want to hear the story. And then when CBGBs came out with their movie and the book, I said, look, if Hilly and those guys can do it, hey. So I decided to go ahead and sort of tell the story. And I think it will be a compelling page turner. So I have gone down, I have asked for assistance with one of my old friends to sort of put the whip to me, and I hope that I can get this out this year because 2015 will be our
35th anniversary.
35th anniversary.
Now,
so
you guys planning a show for that or anything like you have in the past?
Yeah, we did a reunion in 2008 at the Masquerade. I think a lot of people.
I was there. That was an awesome night.
Yeah,
really a lot of fun.
It was great, and I think of course we would love to do another one at Masquerade. I think Masquerade's a perfect venue for it, and I would love to do it there again. I've lost some friends from Masquerade, I'm sorry to say, and but anyway, I would love to do another reunion at Masquerade.
Well, I know everybody in Atlanta would look forward to that.
And I think that if we got the book off, I think another good choice would also to be Verizon. So if we know any investors, and then try to bring in like maybe the Red Hot Chili Peppers, maybe REM for a couple of
How awesome would that be?
I think we could also work that out.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. Well, Steve, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, my friend.
Thank you very, very much, Chris.
We're going to have a little ceremonial drink here that we do on the Chris Massey Show to end the show. And Steve, I want to make this toast to you. Thank you for all you did to make not every city can say they had a music scene like we had here. And it wasn't just a music scene. It produced some of the best bands in the world. Came out of here. It was really awesome.
I think a lot of people don't look back on the past from what Richards and 688 and even go back further, Mother David at the Catacombs, Finocchio's, Hot Atlanta.
That's right.
All those great venues. And I think the Agora, Alex Cruz Electric Ballroom. I think Atlanta's always had a thriving music scene. Too bad the radio sort of sucks, but as far as in live entertainment, we've had some great musicians.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. We're going to leave you tonight with a video shot right in front of the 688 Club. The Brains dancing under the street lights. We'll be back on September the 18th. I don't know the guest list yet, but we'll have somebody here. At least I will be here. So tune back in on September 18th to the Chris Massey Show. Thanks for tuning in tonight, Steve.
Cheers.
Cheers, my friend. We'll see you next time.